Welcome back, Wastelanders. Welcome to the science of tomorrow, the future of humanity, supposedly buried under the rubble of CIT in Boston. But in the waste, the future determined by a small few isolated from the true horrors of the current world have decided amongst themselves that they should be the only few to rescue us. Humanity should be brought back in a new age of technological marvel, species of animal and plant brought back to life through marvelous mechanical wonder and space-aged machinery. Imagine the possibility of creating mechanical animals lost to the atomic holocaust, detailed and dense vegetation in their original image. Perhaps even the possibility of photosynthesis, returning the world and nature to its normalized state. While we are on the topic, why not repopulation of the world to regrow a population to be able to establish a new civilization as quickly as possible? Seems impossible, right? As it takes roughly a decade before human newborns can truly enter society, and perhaps another decade to actually provide valuable impact upon such society. The Institute has created a solution that forwards a vision for humanity, a singular objective, but one that allows repopulation or an unlimited workforce to be tools to help rebuild the wasteland. This is the story of the Institute for all the good and potential evil they may have committed in the name of science. During the age of the Great War, CIT was the center of pre-war science, actively researching, inventing, and innovating new technologies for the great American war machine, all in the hopes of ending the war and resuming the tenuous peace of non-atomic warfare. Unfortunately for the world, for the members of CIT, fate had different plans. And once the world seemed lost, CIT's membership retreated deep underground, secluding themselves away from the foolish generals and their egos. The Great War ended with a grand silence across the USA after the riots, after the military fell apart, after the police and fire departments collapsed, when the leadership from on high had no answer. The USA fell into an atomic slumber. In those moments, had you been lucky enough to survive the bomb drop, the atomic fallout and radioactive winds, you would then find yourself facing off against your fellow irradiated man for supplies and territories. Humanity's vast cultural progress devolved to base need and aggression almost overnight. CIT would become the Institute. Their initial goal? Restore humanity, reestablish the Commonwealth, and help their fellow man. With the best minds and intact resources still at their disposal, the Institute was in the most powerful, perhaps the sole provider, to deliver humanity back to a renewed age of scientific progress and wonder. Of course, this would have been true until the natural distrust of man, the virus of jealousy or disbelief that lives under your skin, seeped into the hearts of the Commonwealth and poisoned the well of goodwill. In the late 2100s, the Institute would first begin to venture out from their underground research base with the use of the molecular relay, a supposed teleportation device that allowed for almost instantaneous travel to and from the Institute's base of operations under CIT. In this fashion, the Institute was allowed two luxuries that unfortunately helped shape their perception by the Commonwealth Wasteland. Firstly, it allowed them to seal themselves off completely from the outside world, meaning no access points for raiders, super mutants, or other outside forces that undoubtedly wish to plunder their rich wealth of resources. Secondly, it allowed their quote-unquote synths, or mechanical workforce, to scavenge the wasteland or conduct experiments without the loss of human life. Regardless of the scientific advancement of this molecular relay, the achievement of such progress led to a certain mysticism and mistrust from the inhabitants in the Commonwealth Wasteland. Specifically, if you were, say, a trader from Diamond City or Bunker Hill, on your travel you happened to witness a group of Gen 1s. The synths were emulating humanoids, but still operating in a strangely mechanical fashion with limited vocabulary and heavily roboticized movements. As quickly as you have witnessed them, they vanish in an impossible white light, the ground electrified, and a certain blue static sticking to the air. It's a technology you've never witnessed before, but it seems grounded in the familiar. You saw humans or a technology attempting to emulate humans, but the who and the why all escape you. So you turn to rumor and bar discourse, only to find similar tales from other Wastelanders, all with the attached moniker, the Institute. This is how the Institute's perception spread throughout the Commonwealth Wasteland, as a boogeyman of sorts, designed to scare children into sleep, more local legend than actual truth. And how wrong the Commonwealth was by simply passing this threat off into the realm of impossibility. The Institute itself is still shrouded in mystery and, of course, controversy, with many in the Commonwealth reporting that synths are replacing them in identical human form. However, these reports should be considered and examined through a certain lens of doubt. Years of confusion and rumor, mixed with some actual fact, have led the inhabitants of the Wasteland to claim that synths are replacing them in droves, so that the Institute may control the entire Wasteland to pursue their vision of the future. But there is some truth to this. The Institute has created a highly advanced version called the Gen 3s, which almost copy and emulate an adult human in almost every single way. These versions, the Gen 3s, are often found in two separate forms. The military operators, tasked with highly sensitive Institute manners, and the more standard human replicates. By definition, the Institute has created a certain form of android successfully, but their true objective for the Commonwealth Wasteland is still a mystery. The Institute can be broken into 4 developmental wings. The Bioscience Wing, focused on creating, studying, and developing plant life, pharmaceuticals, and bioengineering, with all things cell-related. To the advanced study of human genetics and plant genetics comes the study of the FEV, and this is certainly no exception for the Institute, hoping to utilize the FEV's vast potential and repurpose it to their own ambitions. Imagine stronger synths, more resilient crops, devastating antivirals, and even intelligent supermutants are all possible potentials from the Institute. To properly produce a vast army of Gen 1s and Gen 3 synths, the Institute requires human subjects to study and understand both in life and in controlled environments. This falls under the Synth Retention Bureau, the Robotics Department, and the Advanced Systems Department, all focusing on the creation of a more reliable form of synth for all animal life. Under Madison Lee, the Advanced System Department has seen considerable advancement and progress, and perhaps rightfully so, as Madison Lee was one of the project leads for the Purity Water program in the Capital Wasteland. Clearly, there is some merit in the idea of the Institute controlling and replacing humanity in the Commonwealth. While inhumane and lacking any empathy, being able to effectively and uniformly control an entire territory without competition or dissidence is incredibly powerful, when the human cost is not accounted for. The Institute are without a doubt the most advanced faction in the U.S. wastelands, surpassing the Enclave and the Brotherhood of Steel. This fact is determined by their ability to continue working past 2077, the fabled year of the end for the world, and with the added benefit of continuing without influence of external factors. But the Institute has the ability, perhaps more so than any other faction before them, to positively influence the world, to effectively change the course of human atomic sin and reset the new world into a lush land of synthetic labor side by side with human ingenuity. There will always be idealists like the railroad that seek to, quote, free synths because they are programmed to act human. and technology tyrants like the Brotherhood that seek to remove factions like the Institute because they are motivated by their fear of the past. But I ask again, Wastelander, what do you believe? Is the Institute another pre-war abomination set on their own motivations free from the human cost? Or do they have humanity's best interest in mind, allowing for some calculated human collateral? Regardless, the Institute should be respected, feared, and researched further, as surely the most advanced faction in the Waste has a bounty of secrets yet to reveal. In the meantime, Wastelander, stay safe.